The subject I'm going to talk with you today about is the one that I consider to be the most important subject for a small business person after 30 years of being a small business person myself and working with businesses from startups to multi-billion-dollar corporations. In any given week, I work with 40 plus or minus businesses in that range. And before I get going, though, I'd like to know a little bit about you. How many of you work in the business you own? Okay, so I have two that don't, one or two that don't. Okay, good. Now, how many of you work in your business full-time? Okay. And how many work more than full-time? Double time, triple time? Okay. And how many of you have 3 or more employees? 3 or more, 4 or more, 6, 12, 50, over 50 employees. Okay, good. I just want to get, because the problems that you face in business are very different depending on the number of employees that you have. And so I wanted to get that nailed down. So how many of you are professional salespeople? Now, I want to count this one. Raise your hands high. Okay, I would like you to consider that you are all professional salespeople and you are in denial if your hand wasn't up. That is what we're going to be talking about. That's what we're going to. I work with, as I said, CEOs of multi-billion-dollar corporations down to small corporations. They all know that their first and last responsibility is sales. Whether they're selling to a customer, whether they're selling to their employees, or whether they're selling to the financial advisors on Wall Street, they are selling. Now, we've got a warm spot in our heart at the Wright Institute for small business. Being a small business ourselves, we understand the many hats that we wear that Michelle's talking about. I mean, we're putting one hat on after another as fast as we can. And that's one of the things I love about working with small, business owners. We're going to get into that later on in the Business Accelerator program. Today, we're going to deal with one specific problem of switching hats that we hate selling. How many of you love rejection? What kind of people are you? So, we hate selling and we hate rejection, so all the other work expands to fill time, and gee, I can just never quite get to those sales. And we tell ourselves all kinds of stories, and then, oh yeah, but I got the kids. And then, oh man, I've got this problem with personnel and I lost this person and I can't get enough of this, I can't get enough of that. So what's going on underneath of that, all of that is one simple thing. We are afraid. We are afraid. This is a problem dealing with professional salespeople, and it's especially a problem dealing with small entrepreneurs. Oftentimes when we're the only salesperson, we're the only personnel, we're the only delivery person, or we are one of the few doing all of those things. So our unconscious mind takes over. So that's the problem that's in the way. And the question is, what's the solution? How do we manage to keep ourselves selling? This is one of the major challenges of coaching small business professionals because it's so much more fun to talk about personnel problems. Sally is fighting with Joe, or so-and-so has got this problem with her husband, and it's so juicy. Or I worry about my money, and I worry about all the other stuff that I've got going on. Again, underneath, bottom line, I'm afraid. Thank you very much for the excuse. I'm thrilled not to have to go out and sell. However, in the coaching, we must learn to continue selling. And it's kind of like the jazz drummer. We think it's impossible. Our conscious mind says, well, it's impossible. I can't sell and do all this stuff. I can't certainly sell as much as I think I should sell and do all this stuff. Well, what do you think it was like for the jazz drummer when they started out and they'd never played a drum before? Suddenly, they have to be able to keep a snare drum going, hit the top hat, and keep the bass drum going at the same time. And we have to learn to do what they do in the secret that they know. The secret that they know is they know how to divide time into many small pieces. They fine slice time. When you learn to fine slice time, you find infinite potential in the moments between things. You find infinite potential. In order to do that, though, in order to develop the skill of fine slicing time, we must set goals for activity that we will keep no matter what. We must set goals of dialing our phone, talking to people, meeting with people, making proposals or pitches. We must have specific goals that we will follow. Now, how many of you routinely make 10 new sales dials a day or more? 1. I just gave you a glimpse of your future. I don't have time to do that. I've got to design stuff. And by the way, this is a designer who had her hand up. I've got to design stuff. I've got these things going on. Well, remember that drummer. That drummer knows how to take, normally we think 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but he's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. And he can actually take that down to 27 distinct units. When you learn to fine slice time, you will be able to make a dial as you're going to the hospital for your child's broken arm. And by the way, your child scheduling surgery for you where's our oh, is she going? Yeah, that's very impressive. I thought that was very kind. So when we can get, but what starts happening is when you force yourself with this goal to make X number of new business dials a day, to face the fear and the rejection of doing that. When you force yourself to do that, then you begin developing systems you never would have had otherwise. You begin developing call lists at the beginning of the day. You begin carrying your cell phone with you. You realize that how valuable the time is, between the garage and the house. That's a dial or two for certain people. Getting in the car, hands-free, of course. But getting in the car is very valuable. We begin finding the infinite potential within us by fine slicing time. This is how small entrepreneurs must learn to work. Now, you do this, as I said, by setting minimum performance standards. For most of you, 5. For some of you, the discipline of 1 new business dial a day is going to be challenging. The next level is 5. Generally, you consider that you're going to have 1 conversation in every 3 to 10 dials. Okay? So then you build it up to 1 conversation a day. You build it up to 10 dials. Here's the bad news. Independent consultants who really want to build their business up, I've worked with, who started their business from scratch and taking it up to $1 million a year with mostly their own billing and 1 or no employees, can do that 50 new business dials a week. That's 10 a day. 10 a day, and it's 1 new business meeting a day. Well, but I've got reports to write and things to do. Well, you learn to do the dials between times, use them as a break. You learn to have the face-to-face meetings that you've scheduled between times. But for most of you, simply getting the discipline going, 1 new business dial a day, 1 new business meeting a week. And then you start counting proposals. Then you start getting better. We all want magic. We all want, that magic brochure that's going to make it happen. And sometimes it does. We want people to come into us, but that's not the reality. We've got to go out. Once we get over our fear and we start going, we discover that the world is a friendly place with all kinds of playmates, just like you have here at Novo. And I think that's enough for me to talk, and I would like to have a conversation with you now. Okay, so thank you.